I lalo anoho ki te tuanui o tō tātou kaunihira. He mohi o nei hoki tātou, kaiwhi hoki tātou e haelean. He pāna hoki ki te nui o tātou tiwi Maori. Pātu anō hoki he te moti whānu. Rele kune ki taku tūwa ki te mihia. Ki tō tātou kai whakahaere matu a ki ko James. Whanui hoki ngā mihi. Whāna mai tonu koe tara nei, me tai atu o kaunihira, me ma kaunihira. Ngani kāre kore, me tukunga ke ngā mihi. E te mihi atu noho ki tō tātou hoa a Paula Shasha, o te ngarotanga tōna horangatu. Ki ka nei tonu tā apina mahu i tērā kaupapa. Pērā tōna, ngā waihotanga wa tātou mātou tūpuna mai rāna. Pērā Paula ki ka, i maia. He mana wa nui whiau tonu. Me huri anō hoki ngā mihi ki tērā tō tātou te mata. A tākata Rose Pere. He rātu mara mai peke atu toni tātou. Ke rotu ki rungu hui tōna nei tōna marae i iwi tea. Te nui ngō kahungu i eke mai ki reira. He mihi atu. Maringi mai ki te roi mata ki rungu hui taua marae. Mākura wātu tata tūnu i waipuhi ka tohu i te marae i te maringi mai o te roimata. A me te hupe ho. Rei tāku nei hoki tēnei wā ngāma te haere. Haere tūnu koutou toke hi mai tūnu koutou te ara whānui o tāne. Ka ere ka tō hoki rātou. Karanga hi hoki mō koutou. Nō reira haere. Haere. Haere hoki atu ki o mō koutou kotai. Ka piti hono tātai honu. Tātou te hunga. E tō te hunga ma te ngaro atu ki tēnei wā haere. Haere takata mai. Huri no ki tātou nei te hungi ora. Ngai pai nei. A tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou. Hiora no tātou katoa. Mi inoi haki tātou ki tīma te hito tātou hu. I te māngai mi ngāna he rapona te toko tūru tā. Ki tatu mai anō koutou ki waihinu tēnei whakamoimiti o mātou. Hei tātari katoa ki ngā kupu. I whakapua ke ne mātou i roto ki tō koutou kauri tāu. Ko koutou nei hoki te tī matanga me te whakaotunga. Mai o mātou e tū mana huta nei roto ki tō koutou kauri tāu. Ko koe anō ki te māngai hei tō te whamai. Ai nei aka nei ai. Māngai mi ngāna he rapona te toko tūru tāu. Whakaungia mai nei mātou ki roto ki te arohanoa. Nei da tunu mātou o pōnanga ko tai ki mūto koutou aroaro o tēnei rā mūto koutou manakitanga. O ena hi mai katoa ki tō koutou manakitanga ki rungi tō tātou. Kuni he rārohi. Mo te matau a Maori tēnei rā. He haere pai katoa ki ngā kaupapa. Ko whakatako te hi rungu ki tō tātou tiepu i tēnei rā. He noho ngāwari mai. He noho rangi Māori e tonu tātou i tēnei wā. He kore hi, he kore tata tuni tātou wā. I te kanga te koe. Ni mākau tau ke manaki te hoki tēnei kaupapa hou unu mo tātou. E te māngai mi ngāna he rapona te tuka tūnu tapu. Whakaungia mai nei mātou ki roto i te arohanoa. Pai here ti e tunu mātou. Ki roto ki te rangi Māori ngā wā katoa. Koe anō ki te māngai hei tau tuko mai. Ai nei, aka nei, ai. Kia ora rata.
Kia ora matua hāmi te whakamai matu.
A tēnei he tū ki te tautoki a koe rā, Uncle. He taumata no tā kōrua, me ki rā koutou, Uncle Bill. He taumata pakeke e noho nei kei wangirui a tatai, kei runga ki tēnei komiti. Nō reira ko tā koe tūnei tuhi kia koe i whakarite rai a tatai i te rangi nei. Nō reira tēnei te mihi. Me ki rā kei ngā rangatira puta noa, kei tote ngā whai tuatanga o tēnei te matau a Maui. Tēnei te mihi hoki mai, kei runga ki tēnei komiti a tatai. A tēnā tātou katoa.
Ngā mihi o te tahau koutou katoa, nau mai haere mai ki te kaupapa o tēnei rā, te tai o te mātau a Māori. And we've got a busy schedule and a lot to get through today, and I'm going to be timekeeper. I've had a good mentor watching this fella, but they give us 2 minutes. So so we're going to get you through today, whānau. Welcome and let's get on with it. If I can have the Apologies, I have one from Wairo, Katarina Kawana.
Mare will be late.
Mare Abatu for lateness. Any other apologies?
I've got a family matter unravelling, so I might have to go out and take a phone call for a while, so I might just duck away for a call.
Yeah, okay. And
Zach Maori, we haven't heard.
oh, Zach Makawari. Is
Zach, I haven't heard. Yeah.
Apologies. And I'll get someone to move the apologies, please. Mike.
Yes.
Who's second up with apologies?
Aye.
Api Robin, all in favour?
Aye.
Carry. Then we have the notices. So
Can I be excused, please, at 1 o'clock?
At 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. That's Rose here. Any other whangarei rotu?
Yeah, we've got a board meeting at 2, so I see there's a long-term plan workshop. So we may, I think we'll be going to the thing, or I might stay for about 30 minutes just to participate and then have to go to our board meeting. Thank you.
Yeah. I think there's another one, that goes to 2 o'clock. So you excuse yourself just before the cup fine. Any other notices? Nothing. Okay, we're going to conflict of interest declarations. Anybody? I will be speaking to the report, the committee reports. There's a item within the Regional Council Committee meetings report, the Environmental Integrated Catchments Committee meeting. I'm the chair of the Honongonga Awa Kahui Trust for Wairua, and there'll be an item there I need to speak to. There may be a conflict. Being chair or both. And so I'll just have that noted. Thank you. And then alternative members, we haven't got any. Have we present? No. Move on to the next one. Oh, it's going through here fast as confirmation of 18th of November 2020 Maori Committee minutes. Any additions, deletions, amendments? I do have one wrong my wahine is one word. So, nephew. So in the minutes there, it's I think it's where Rex and I think it's number 7. It's just a typo. Oh, my wahine is all one word. I think Rex mentions just a connection and spelling. Anything on the minutes from last meeting? Oh, now get someone to move the minutes of the Maori Committee meeting held on Wednesday the 18th of November 2020. Who was present?
I'll second.
He's seconded by Palmer. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. Okay, straight into Take Rea Poata a Takiwa. Taiwhenua reps updates. What have we got first on
Yours, yeah.
Stay here and you would be.
Sorry?
You stay here and
there?
I think you're first. Why was it?
Yeah, wait off.
Me. Was I the first in? Was I the first one, Natalie?
Yeah,
Being a good student, take a leap like
you
that.
were.
Okay. Just taking as read the kōrero on mahia, the issues at mahia, especially around oraka, mangawhio. I was talking to Papa Bill about that, and I have highlighted that to Rongoa Wahine Iwi Trust. Anna Smith, she was just here before our hui started, and she's asked if she's going to have a couple of minutes after lunch to speak on that, especially around kaimoana collection when there's a high E. coli level. So I thought that would be important for all of us really, especially ahuriri as well. You know, there's issues there with the kaimoana.
Yeah, and that'll, because that might lead in some of the other conversations that come up in, I think, James's report around water quality and the rest, because that's a big kōrero, and I think I might have touched a little bit on my report. Hey, so, yeah, maybe we have that bigger discussion as we get further. I don't know, I'm just
Get further
putting it out
into
there.
it. And so, yeah, I think for the environmental court, the second minute has come out, and I haven't been able to read it yet, but at present, we're quite happy with how that's gone, and just working through the process following that. But they didn't give you a 35-year consent, so they could do some more work. And the main thing was about Te Manawa Te Wai and the Maori. You know, when you're discharging into the river, that's diminishing the Maori, so how are you going to meet that obligation? And that's pretty much it. Looking forward to planting. Our nursery is there's just so many trees. We've got to get into some planting with again a kia too, and spread it around the whakapau block. So that's pretty much me.
Do you want to touch base and we get it out of the way now on Māori wards? Because it's in your report.
It's in the we'll do through that
Oh,
too.
yeah.
It's an agenda item.
Oh, yeah, okay,
they're
so
going to do a
sleep for that.
presentation.
Yep.
Yeah, I did mention it in my report, but I see it's going to be. I did ask for that to be presented to speak to our committee. So next one is Head of Taonga. Māre's not here, but I'm sure Mike can.
Before that goes, Lady Chair, could I, on our report, when the e-call level is pretty high, there are no signs to tell visiting people that don't swim. And when you tell them don't swim, they don't see the sign, they jump in. So if the council can see their way to putting up signs at the moment the e-call readings are up. Like for the Mangawhio Lagoon, which is was pretty heavy this year, 3,010 right up. I told them don't go and swim, just look at the water and go to the toilet and wash themselves.
Hey, kaimoa now.
No, you can't stop it. 120 having a swim.
So James, did you just want to mention the process, because it's actually public health, isn't it? To put the sign.
Morena rangatira mā. So the challenge we've got is that most of the rivers and lagoons in the region will have high levels of E. coli at certain times, particularly following rainfall. And when I looked at the dates in the co-chair's report, they looked, and I haven't checked the rainfall, but it did look through at a period when we were a bit wet over the Christmas period. And so what we typically do is encourage people to visit the website where we've got regular updated information. So it wouldn't be appropriate to put up signs that say don't swim here because it's sometimes contaminated. And it would be difficult for us to go and put up signs and take them down as the levels adjust all the time. But what I am wondering is whether we should put more signs up around the region at our popular swimming sites which would say something like, sometimes, particularly following rainfall, this might be an unsafe place to swim. For more information, go to the website and get the latest test results on that water body. So I'm happy to take that way as an action and have a talk to our team, because I think our current process of encouraging people through Facebook and social media and what have you to check the LAWA website probably isn't getting to everybody it needs to, and so some signs would help. The other practical challenge we have is that, and this is a reality that's difficult to solve, is that we take a water sample on a Monday morning at each of our popular swimming sites. It then has to go to the lab, and then they have to grow in a petri dish the bacteria to work out the level of contamination. And that process typically takes 2 to 3 days to grow up the bacteria, by which time the information's already out of date. And so we did trial some snazzy technology which was going to be hugely expensive, that would give us much quicker results within hours, but those results were not particularly useful. And Anna can talk about that after midday, because she led that trial, and she decided along with her colleagues that it wasn't value for money in terms of us buying that equipment, because it wasn't reliable. So I think probably the best we can do is to put up signs and encourage people to be cautious, particularly after rainfall. So we'll take that away as an action and come back and provide some further advice on it to the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. That was all. Okay, well, now we're going to hear it. Thanks, Papa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll go to the first item there, long-term plan. Basically the last paragraph. This is an ongoing conversation. It's not just pertinent to Heretaunga. It's a conversation that's come right across all of our tai whenua, basically seeking support, not only from this council but from all of our councils, as we try to meet the ever-increasing workload that we're having to do in order to meet the various councils' regulatory requirements to engage with mana whenua. So it's not just us coming to the meeting to have that conversation. This is about us doing our homework, doing our due diligence, understanding the science, even getting our own science. That takes resource at the end of the day. And our engagement quality is based on how much resource we can actually put to the question. And if you have very little resource, you're going to get a very low level answer back from us. It's frustrating for both parties. So I think that's just an ongoing conversation. It's not new. Once again, was also raised, I know was raised during this particular long-term consultation round as well. And we know that's still being massaged. I believe Māori's put in here because he understands there is still time for that consideration to take place. I think hence the reason why he's raised it. Secondly, well, we just dealt with the regulation of water quality. I think you've just touched on that one, James. The third one there was the Tuki production land use consents. We understand this is, primary an outcome from the tank process. We're starting to see a significant stack up of these consents having to go into this holding pattern until we get through the tank process itself. I suppose we're fearful that at the end of that process there's going to be a significant amount of consents sitting in that space, and that there will be pressure placed on us as mana whenua to actually deal with those, once again, without really the resources to be able to do the proper due diligence around it. So it's an ongoing, it kind of impacts all of the way through. Yeah. Other than that, Madam Chair, that's Heretaunga's report.
Chair, sorry.
Sorry, just a point in.
You call me telling lies about it.
I just got just a point in your first point in that last paragraph, and then I suppose in relation to whangara nui o roto.
Yep.
And obviously with the rivers, we concur with yourself in regards to resourcing and that, because it's just not one water catchment.
No.
If we look right across our whole catchment right up to Wairoa, I know we had a kōrero this morning about it, it's how we put enough resource into to identifying that. And maybe do we touch on that now, or do we leave that till later? We can touch base because we did discuss it this morning. And then how as a collective, because everyone's aware of the case with Ngāi Tahu and Kahununu, and then maybe Pahueta and some other iwi organisations are going to join that in relation to the water debate. And then I suppose as a committee, how we're more effective in working in that space. And then obviously that's one of the prime roles of Hawke's Bay Regional Council is the water space. So we did discuss how we build for the future and make us more effective in working with the council in regards to that kōrero, and we all agreed that maybe we need to run a wānanga to fully inform our Māori committee members on some of the intricacies of this whole kōrero. So, do we put that forward now? Did she touch on it, Mike?
So I just...
And then I don't have to go into
going on for Peter's conversation here. So part of our pre-meeting conversation this morning is it's not just our committee itself, but from our mana whenua community just as a whole. There's a whole big discussion around water, and it's a very fragmented conversation. A lot of that conversation is being done at a whole lot of different levels, and depending which level you are at, that determines the quality of your information and the quality of your engagement. So those that are in a higher level of governance, who are exposed to a lot more information, if you like, have a bit of a wider view of the issues at hand, versus to those at home. For us, we've got to put the views of those at home as well. Part of that is we need to not only educate them, we need to educate ourselves to make sure we understand all of the requirements that are coming forward. The only way, when we look at our own cultural values, that we do that best is by wānanga. So at this stage, we want to be able to investigate holding a wānanga, make sure we are tackling the right subjects, using the right information, getting the right advice. And we also want to, at this stage, put together a working group alongside Regional Council in form of your Maori group led by Pere, as part of that working group to start to map that out. How can we pull this together? More importantly, how can we put it out? So that's basically where we are. In our terms of reference for our charter, there's provision for wānanga. So it's about utilising the provisions that are already there, but making sure we're going to get value out of it. Not just having a wānanga for the sake of a wānanga. We don't need that ourselves. We've got plenty of wānanga, we can do that at home. But we want to get something positive out of this. So that's where our conversation got to.
Kia ora mātou, Mike. Look, we're acutely aware of the growing level of burden and impost that we're putting on tangata whenua across the region with our growing work. We look out on the horizon and we see how much there lies ahead of us all and the many competing priorities and pressures that you have that we will need to work through. So in the first instance, I would say that the suggestion of wānanga is an excellent idea, and we would seek your guidance and that of the co-chair and deputy co-chair of the Regional Planning Committee about whether that's done as a collaboration of both committees. I can see some benefit in that being done together. Just this morning in meeting with the co-chair of the RPC, we discussed the agenda for our next RPC meeting, which will involve some discussion about lessons learned from the tank process, the work of the RPC in recent years, and what we recognised in that is some of the wānanga that we did along the way with the tank process was helpful, but we probably should have done more and we should have done it earlier. So I think as we move into kotahi, the timing is right, and it's incredibly important that we hold wānanga with our expert staff and with those with mātauranga that can come to the table to enrich everybody, and everybody goes on that journey together. Part of the idea with kotahi is to avoid the problem that you refer to of so many parallel processes and duplication, if you like, to try and bring together one conversation with the whole rohi around land, water, coast, and how all of that is tied together, the complete te taio, if you like. So while that's a huge undertaking, I think that is our opportunity. And indeed, part of the thinking of having the Regional Planning Committee was to ensure that tangata whenua were involved at the very highest level in terms of setting the policy, and I appreciate we've still got a lot of mahi ahead to actually get the policy in good shape, so we're dealing with a lot of the legacy of the past. But once we've got agreement on the policy, we shouldn't have to worry so much about resource consents and all of those mechanical things that happen day to day, because you can have confidence that the policy has settled the issues and the interests that you hold. So I think over the next couple of years, we do have the opportunity to actually streamline the longer term work and have the issues dealt with at the right level. Having said all of that, that takes resource. And so in the draft long-term plan we're discussing with Council this afternoon, there is a significant proposal around funding tangata whenua engagement in the kotahi plan process, including funding the procurement of mātauranga as part of that as well. Now, whether it's enough resource, it will probably never be enough resource like most of council's work. So we'll have to reach some judgment about whether it's sufficient to get us on the road. And recognising it will be a multi-year effort. So we will continue to engage with you as we develop that long-term plan with council prior to going out to public consultation. So we'll come back to you with more detail on that in due course. So I think there is a real opportunity here to work more closely together, and I acknowledge the conversations you've been having around your organisational overlaps as well. And I guess, when we think about tank and we think about those resource consents, at the moment we have volunteer effort happening actively from Marae. We have Te Tai Whenua o Te Hiritonga involved in that, and we have the Hiritonga Tamatea Settlement Trust involved, and we have Ngāti Kainui Iwi Incorporated's Natural Resources Group as well. So we have a number of people all seeking to be involved, and there is an opportunity, I think, to rationalise that effort for everyone. So I think there's some good suggestions in what you've raised, and I'll ask Petty to reflect on that and bring back some thinking to the next meeting of this committee.
So short term, obviously, because it's a moving feast, and as we go through, because obviously, I suppose as leaders within our own organisations, we'll be making decisions, and it's better to do it shorter, engage with the council, rather than ourselves starting to go through, you know what I mean? I know you said it's 2-3 year plan, but it's going to roll a lot faster than that. So I suppose the thing, it's around information, making sure the Māori Standing Committee members are informed and educated in regards to the current framework, because obviously I think if we're going to wait 2-3 years, the time frame will be too long. Things will be done and dusted by the time we get to that point. So the wānanga is information, it's not political, it's just to inform our members so when they're making decisions within, whether it's Wairoa, Hiratangi here, they're a little bit more informed. So if we take it on that context,
yes,
and then we could get into the nitty-gritty at a later stage, but at least they're informed. And I know in our kōrero this morning that was coming up around the Poronga Hau, the river drying up, and Rich Pa and that river drying, or stream drying up. So there's a lot of concern. So we just, but rather than making uninformed decisions because we don't have the information, better to be informed. That was the point of the kōrero.
Look, I think the wānanga is urgent. The point I guess I was making on resourcing is that we if council agrees, subject to community consultation, all of that, we have a step change in resourcing. That'll kick off on the 1st of July, and that's not very far away. It'll come around soon. But then there'll be a block of funding for year 1, and then there'll be another block of funding for year 2, and then another block of funding for year 3. So we need to think about it as a staged effort of building capability.
My thing's time frame. Time frame, so it's not, we want to put it as an action point or milestone and measure. So, no use coming this time next year and saying, oh, we're going to, so if we had some framework around that, that'd be great.
Maybe